Hey folks, here we are back again, another episode of Critical Comics, and this is fresh off of seeing a couple of Marvel films for a change, so this is going to be a Marvel-centric episode. This is your host, Corey, master of all four elements, Carter.
And I am Fear Made Flesh, Jonathan Crane.
Yes, and this is Fred Freeze, a.k.a. Doom, fresh out of Latvia.
And here we are today. Fellas, we're going to be talking about two movies that we've all recently seen. One is Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier. And the other one was going to be The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And we wanted to go ahead and hit some of these real quick. And I wanted to get just high points and low points of these flicks that we've seen before. For one, The Winter Soldier was a great film. I thought it was a really good movie, and I think some of the high points for me, the action was really well done. Dialogue was on point. They didn't really take too much time of, explaining crap that didn't need to be explained. The romance part didn't linger, which was something that I think is very lacking in a lot of films. It feels like they got to shoehorn a lot of the romantic stuff in there. But there was some stuff going on between him and Black Widow, but they didn't dwell on it too long. And altogether, I think the spirit of the characters was maintained really well. So to me, those are the high points. But what did you guys think about it?
Well, I feel like this time Marvel actually does get it right. I don't know what happened I don't really know what happened with Iron Man 3, but this
a lot of
film,
bad.
Yeah, a lot of horrible things happened.
Yes, it did.
In Iron Man 3. But I actually think that one of the high points of this film, and you'll see the difference in the Sony movie in comparison to the Marvel film, was that I think that Robert Redford brought a lot of respect with this movie. Just his portrayal of like the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. or I guess the higher up executive at S.H.I.E.L.D. He did a good job. He brought a lot of respect to the movie. Whereas, the other movie, the casting wasn't quite as good, and I'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I felt like Sam Jackson did a pretty good job. Chris Evans, of course, he's pretty consistent.
I like him better.
Captain America.
I like him better here than in the Fantastic Four.
What? He was in the Fantastic Four? I don't even remember that.
No one does.
The only issue that I had was with, as far as the actors, was Scarlett Johansson.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think she fits. She just doesn't fit. I'm finally gonna say it. I think that she's really pretty, but she doesn't fit in this role. I don't think.
You don't think she fits in the role of the movie?
No, as Black Widow, no, not at all. I felt like she was the only awkward part of the film, really acting wise. I don't really sense any. I don't know. There's just something missing from her portrayal of Black Widow.
I don't know. Was Black Widow anything other than just sort of a cold, calculating type of character? Because that's what she seems to be playing off to most of the time.
And I don't think she does a great job of that.
No, okay.
In this movie.
What about you, Fred?
I can agree with him on that. The one thing about Scarlett, I just think it didn't portray the character the way it was in the comic very well. She seemed like, I don't know. I don't know if you would say her heart wasn't in it, but it doesn't seem like she brought the Russian aspect or whatever province that she would have come from.
It's Russian. Her last name is Romanov.
Romanov. Okay, well, yeah, it just didn't feel like she brought that to the table as much. And I'm not saying that she needs to speaking in a falsetto Russian accent, because we know that internationals speak fluent English as well. But I'm just still, it just didn't feel that way, you know. You got anything else to say? And I'm going to go ahead and jump into my little rant.
Oh, this one's going to be a long one. Brandon, anything else before Fred starts in?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I like the action, but I want to see more of the Winter Soldier. I felt like they brought in the Winter Soldier a little bit later than I would have liked. I know he's supposed to be a mysterious character, but I would have liked to have seen more action roles or more action scenes with him in it. I felt like that was a bit short. I know he's a mysterious character, but I wanted to see a little bit more. And I really enjoyed the Nick Fury assassination attempt scene. That was pretty cool. I liked that. I thought that was pretty nice. And the fact that Nick Fury actually did something in the movie. First of all, Nick Fury was actually in the movie as opposed to the other. Where
he's just sort of. Movie. Well, he played a pretty decent role in the Avengers, but we're just talking about the Captain America one.
Yeah, we're talking about the in Iron Man 3, you don't even see him. They don't even really mention him at all.
Despite Tony being damn near killed and presumed dead. But we'll get into that another time.
Yeah, exactly. So that just a couple of more things, but overall, I mean, I really enjoyed this movie, man. I think that this is how you're supposed to do a superhero movie.
Okay, Fred, what did you have, man?
As a hardcore collector, as you know. And I get all the old stuff like the Invaders and stuff like that. I'm a sucker for the Golden Age. This has done, just like you guys, I agree 100% with you guys. This has done exactly how I would want a Captain America book to be. It was able to bring forth characters that we consider hokey, like Batroc, the Leaper, in the beginning of the movie. It brought him in, and it brought in characters like the Falcon. It fixed their uniforms in the sense that you would actually say, I could see this somewhere. You would suspend belief and stuff with it. You didn't have to be hokey.
And one moment, I do have to give them credit for naming him Falcon, not Black Falcon.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to say. Just wanted to say that on that one.
Yes, I that was a beautiful thing. Like I said, I like pretty much everything about the movie. The only thing that bothered me was still like the Hollywood romance portion, where they were just trying to constantly push something on Captain America that was never there. That was something that belonged in Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Spider-Man always had to deal with romance.
It seemed like he was he reacted to it to me in the way that Steve Rogers does, by kind of pushing it to the side. Because
Exactly.
It's like, hey, we're working right now, man. We don't have time for this. All right. They got the whole getting to know you thing, and, Steve maintaining that, okay, we can be friends and whatnot, and we're comrades through this, but they didn't really do it heavy, like in a lot of ways, like, Green Lantern, where they tried to shove the romance down your throat.
Yeah.
They tried to shove the whole love interest thing down your throat. Here, I felt they were way more subtle with it.
The characters, the people actually had no chemistry in Green Lantern, so that was a huge issue when you have characters that don't have any chemistry and you're trying to add it.
Pretty much. But Fred, did you have anything else to add on that one?
That's pretty much it. Like I said, outside of that, there were a few issues with some of the fantastic levels at which Captain America survived some things, but I let that go with suspended belief and so on and so forth when you're dealing with fantastic movies. We know that Captain America's we just even looked at Captain America's level of strength, and like I said, it's varied from time to time in the comic books as I read it.
It does. It does.
And I don't know how they could explain some of that away, but you kind of do going in. You know what I mean?
Him kind of bashing through double doors, falling like what, 20 stories?
Yes, and landing on his shield. Yeah, I'm like, that's.
They up the strength. It seems like they do up the strength a bit, but from the way that it was, from everything I've read, like online, it's kind of like that whole adrenaline. Everything about him is supercharged, like to Olympic level athlete degree and beyond. So, like with any athlete, once the adrenaline starts pumping, they can do stuff that they couldn't normally do under regular circumstances.
Adrenaline does not protect you from a building fall. Adrenaline helps, but when you fall from a building onto your shield,
well, a vibranium shield kind of helps.
That does help, but it helps, but not quite that much. But it's okay. It's a movie. I can understand. They've upgraded his strength. They augmented the strength of his.
If we're gonna talk about parts, that were unbelievable, you're gonna tell me a guy with a friggin' chain gun couldn't aim for the man's legs?
Nobody aimed for his legs.
He was shot at so many times through this movie.
I'm just gonna aim for the giant shield.
It's like, the shield doesn't cover half his body, guys. I mean,
you guys realize we watched now that part of stuff. I stopped looking at shooting in movies a long time ago because you understand this is Rambo and all this other anything Commando, Rambo, anything with the main characters being shot at. For some reason, nobody can hit the broadside of a barn. But they got all these trained assassins that cannot shoot their weapons. They're like inner city gangbangers at that point.
Like
they're just shooting at everybody.
Highly trained,
exactly.
Mercenaries.
They're killers, but they cannot hit this guy.
For some reason, man, nobody knows he's running at him full steam too. Nobody knows to aim for his legs.
Don't get me started on Batman. He ain't even got no damn shield.
Yeah, but he has body armor.
Not enough.
To cover him from Gatling gun shots, I don't think so. Yeah. Not on that one. As far as low points to me in the movie, I agree with Brandon. There weren't enough scenes with the Winter Soldier to me. The action scenes that they did have were great. Who was the MMA fighter at the very beginning?
George St. Pierre.
George St. Pierre makes a cameo in this film as an early villain.
Batroc the Leaper.
As Batroc the Leaper, who actually is a character?
Yes,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Batroc is actually a kind of I would say I have to say Mort, but yes, he is almost like a Mortish character. You look at his uniform. If you go look him up, look at his uniform. Look at how he's been portrayed over the years. He's almost like a.
Is he like a sportsmaster type character, man?
No, he's a savate fighter. I know I'm not saying it right, but a French martial arts fighter. He has like these spike pointy things in his boots. So he's an assassin on that level, and he pretty much uses savate, and he has like a purple and gold looking uniform, and he often appeared in Captain America like as the early foil. Like in many of the comic books, like he would be
so
the
he actually
early
was
foil.
a villain for him.
Exactly, and then
Okay.
he joined some teams against Captain America, but he was always like kind of like that little the early foil that Captain America was chasing before the Red Skull showed his plot.
See that part,
or
I
something.
actually didn't know he was a real that was a
Yeah.
real villain. He was playing
Yeah.
like an actual guy. I just thought they had
Yes.
like random terrorist number 5.
No,
and that's
nah,
what
they like I said, they did an excellent job of, and a lot of people take exception to this, but they made it feel almost what a good GI Joe would look like. You know what I'm saying? Which is a good.
which is
No
oxymoron
one
at
really
this
knows
point.
what a good GI Joe.
Yeah, that's what I said. In other words, they took these characters who are military action heroes,
Right.
and turned them all into military action heroes and super spies, which is an excellent way to do Captain America, and that's why I like the movie so much. They didn't force it. They didn't
They
try
didn't
to
make
go
it like super fantastic and
exactly,
everything.
exactly. They didn't have like
You know, like in
all
the
kinds
first
of-
film where they had the what was it called? The Sitter, not the Sitteract. The Tesseract.
Yeah.
The whole cosmic cube thing where they
Yeah.
did kind of make it very fantastic.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything magical in the movie at this point.
Exactly.
And they really just kept it sort of a very military Jason Bourne-ish type of thing, which just happened to have a guy with superpowers in it. So, and really they didn't even show they didn't show him leaping tall buildings or anything like too humongous.
No. I mean, you could tell that he's a super soldier. He's not Superman. He's not a superhuman. But sometimes they hike up his strength, and that is cool. It still looks great.
Fuck you, doors.
Yeah, he just ran through sheet wall out of it.
yes, he did.
Like 2 double steel doors. I think he just ran straight through them.
yes, kind of like. But I know LT has done that when he's coked up.
Oh. So do a lot of players. Which one are you talking about, though? Anyway, overall, I give this movie an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I that's strange. We actually have the exact same rating.
Wow, for a change. Interesting.
That's strange.
I think it's all. It would be all three. I gave it an 8.9, so I gave it 2 more points because I'm.
Let's just say 9, man. Just say 9.
Let me just go ahead and give it a 9.
Just go ahead and give it a 9.
I enjoyed this movie thoroughly.
Don't do this whole Pomeranian judge shit. Just go ahead and give it a 9.
8.6.
A 10,
just-
10, 9.8.
You know, we're mentioning everything in the movie that's going on right now, so it's okay. Spoilers are okay, right?
Yeah, we'll put up a disclaimer beforehand.
If you
Might
haven't
as
seen
well.
it by now, then you need to.
Seriously,
go
we're
ahead and-
late to the party. We're late to the party.
We're very late. So, what about the Scarlet Witch and the Quicksilver appearance then?
That was a surprise. That was an honest to God shock. Because for the most part, we really just didn't think that we'd see them because we thought those were like X-Men deemed Fox characters now.
Yes. No, and they actually changed. It's okay because they're not mutants. They're science experiments, which I hope they do more. In fact, I hope they do it with all of their characters, and I don't give a shit. I will accept it.
We just don't want to see Fox mess with them anymore.
We don't want to see Fox with any of these characters anymore.
Days of Future Past is close to being released as of the day of this recording. Today is Thursday.
Tonight.
Oh, it's tonight. Oh, well, it's going to be
12
released
a.m.,
tonight.
12 a.m. in the
Okay. We're not excited about it. We're really not excited
No.
about it. I don't think anybody knows who's been watching our shows at this point. Nobody is surprised to hear that we're not Fox fans, that we really don't want to see this movie. But we're going to, for the simple fact that we want to give it an honest degree. But on that note, they did have cameos by Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in the end of the movie, which kind of begs to wonder what they're going to do in the sequel. Like, for instance, one thing I wanted to ask you guys is what if in Part 3, which they actually have set for the exact same date that the Batman Superman movie is supposed to come out. That's the release date of Captain America 3. But that's a side note. What are you guys hoping to see in the sequel? Or hoping to see more of?
Really, I would just like them to keep with the serial. Like, he either A, goes after Bucky, they show what happens with Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. and some kind of reconciliation with that, or what's going to go on there. Are they going to all go underground or what? And maybe he goes on the hunt for Bucky to try to and that just becomes his thing, and we have a different kind of Captain America moving forward. I don't know how I feel about the whole Scarlet Witch Quicksilver thing, because since that's technically Magneto's kids,
Which they can't say.
They can't say.
They can't say they're it's Magneto's kids. They can't even use the term mutant.
Mutant. I know. So I'm just like, at the end of the day, I just don't know. But I mean, maybe I don't know enough about their history, and maybe somehow they were tied into a program somewhere, because I know there was a Crimson Commando and the Silver Saber and all those other guys who fought in another war that Captain America, Stonewall, and all those guys. I mean, I know a lot of Captain America
characters.
characters.
I think that they were just members of the evil brotherhood of mutants.
Yes,
that they had to say
of evil mutants.
The brotherhood of evil mutants that they had to discuss.
Guys, we're evil. Did you know that?
Hey
we
guys,
are evil.
hey
we
guys,
describe ourselves as evil.
We've got a couple of different names here for our group. We have the League of Mutant Brotherhood.
Yes.
We have the Brotherhood of Free Mutants.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Free Mutant Brigade, and look, my cousin's here, so I decided to write this in. The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. I know it sounds corny, but maybe we should. I like it.
Yes,
but
evil is the way to go. Evil.
But Mr. Magneto, no buts. We're going to be the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. You don't think this sends the wrong message, maybe to people about,
Probably sends the worst message. We have a representative here from the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Yes.
He's come to speak in front of the Senate.
Yes.
He's here to speak about mutant peaceful demonstrations
Yes.
of mutant rights.
Yes.
And he wants to talk with us today
I want to rape your children. like, oh my goodness. He is evil, by the way.
It is the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, as they put on the name. Oh, but that's hilarious. But I think we'll have to just wait and see what they decide to do with those two characters, what they're going to do with the next movie. Because here they went. The first movie was some mysticism and a lot of military. This movie was all military, all secret agents, all super spies. Yeah. So they might try to go back to that a little bit in the third. Because after I don't know if the second Avengers is going to be released before Part 3. I wouldn't be surprised. But if they decide to do it, that's probably going to tie in with it as well. So I guess to me, I'm just sort of waiting and see what they decide to do with it. Yeah. I hope personally they keep Captain America like Part 2, because that makes way more sense to me to keep it like a super spy thing. But on that note, the second film that we saw this past week, Brandon actually saw last night, was The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This I think is pretty safe to say. Was probably hyped up even more so than The Winter Soldier. A lot of people hyped this up because it's Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is just a bigger character.
He's just a bigger character. Unfortunately, it seems to me that this was not much of a bigger movie. But I'll start in with some of the high points that I had for it in the first place. The action was good when it happened. I thought the action scenes were really good. It sort of highlights Spider-Man's powers. It highlights Electro's powers, other characters when they come into it. I thought altogether the acting was decent in most of the parts, the majority of the movie. And as far as the film as a whole, I would like to have seen a lot more action from it, in my personal opinion. But overall, I think the film was decent, but it was kind of nothing to write home about.
No, seriously, the one thing I'll say about the Spider-Man movie is it was a comic bookish movie. That's the way I will put it. It wasn't like with Captain America, they did a good job of bringing the comic book into our world. And how do you put it? And it was super fantastic, but at the same time,
making it realistic,
making
it practical.
They touched it right there. With Spider-Man, it was back to basically keeping Spider-Man fun. It's like
really.
Well, how do you put it?
As fun as this movie can make it anyway.
Well,
these are not the Sam Raimi films.
Well, I understand, and the thing is with Spider-Man, number one, it's not a Marvel book. I mean, not a Marvel movie.
Not Marvel Studios.
Not
it's
a Marvel
Sony Pictures.
Studios. It's Sony Pictures. And the problem with those guys is they're gonna keep on trying to do what they think the comic book movie should be. And since it was a Gwen Stacy driven, so on and so forth, we said, okay, we know this is going to be kind of like a dark romantic situation going on.
Yeah.
And so that was a given. And then you had buffoonish stuff in it, like the way they had Jamie Foxx playing a stereotypical nerd.
Really
even in this modern era where nerd culture has dominated and permeated every part of the culture, and we've seen different types of people who you would consider nerds.
They went back to the 1980s. Revenge of the Nerds, man.
That
like pocket protectors, plaid shirts, pants that are too short.
Yes, I thought he was part of Steve Urkel's family. I thought he was like Steve Urkel's uncle. Like, you know how you never saw Urkel's family for real?
Oh.
So I think that's what he was. Because it was weird. It's like they made this guy. It was...
By the way, have you ever in your life seen a black man with a comb over?
That's another thing.
We
would let it go, dog.
Thing.
We would let it go. I'm about to pass it over to Brandon over here, but yeah, I think Jamie Foxx, he did not give his best acting role here. I don't know who dressed him up. I don't know if he had a lot to do with this. If he was simply just a scientist that was overlooked and kind of like whatever, and he felt some sort of way about it, and maybe had some interaction with Spider-Man, and you know. I would have even, I'm going to say this and I'm going to give it to Jonathan. If I would have even seen him do something like have Spider-Man, like he look at Spider-Man as he's got power. I want power too. It'd be great to have that power instead of being like forgotten. And then like when something crazy happens, make it, even the way he became, it was a freakish thing. It was so freakishly stupid. Like, oh, I'm just going to get up here and do it anyway. Happy birthday to me. Now all of a sudden, now you got, hey, you didn't die, so now you got superpower. I mean, I know that happens in the comics, but the way they did that was just totally ridiculous.
And before you jump in on it, man, I just wanted to say, before the film, at least in the movie that I went to see, they showed in the trailers they actually showed a trailer for a remake of Annie. When they showed a trailer for the remake of Annie, which if you don't know, it's a hard, I think it's A Hard Knock Life with Annie, which white kid, red hair. Apparently they're remaking that movie, and they've sort of blackened up the cast. Annie is going to be played by a little black girl, and Daddy Warbucks, the millionaire in the movie, is played by Jamie Foxx. I thought that was flipping hilarious on that one because we see Jamie Foxx looking as smooth as can be, and then we jump to a movie where he looks as buffoonish as possible.
I can't accept any of the stuff with the whole. I didn't care for the whole Andy thing to start with, but now I definitely can't deal with this. And then like Daddy Warbucks and the Orphan with the black. No, look, can we just make some good black movies? I'm not gonna say. Please let these old stereotypical horrible movies go.
I'm sorry I had to break that one to you, friend. I just thought the contrast would be funny, but yeah, man. I just want to. But I'm gonna let the Professor of Fear throw his 2 cents in on this one too.
Yeah, I guess we saw the same viewing because I also saw that. I also saw like the whole Annie thing, and it was kind of weird. It was like, where are we going with this? I don't know.
Trying to go back to the 1930s, maybe. I don't know.
I don't really know what I thought about that, but it kind of prepared me. It really did prepare me for this whole movie. Sony did a good job in the first movie. That's the thing that kind of surprises me. They did a good job, and then they just went backwards with this whole thing. I mean, the tone of the movie, like you were talking about, Fred Freeze, you were talking about the tone kind of is so silly. It makes you not take it. It makes you take it for a joke. And Paul Giamatti,
God.
I believe this guy's an Oscar-nominated actor. He's not given a lot. He's not really given a lot to work with. Working with the Rhino, when you're working with a character like Matt Gargan or like the Rhino is a dim-witted character that no one gives a shit about. So he just decides to go full-on pro wrestler slash.
You can say it. He went full retard. Bro.
Yes, he did. He went full retard. That never really works.
It never works.
That does not
go
work.
Full retard. You never go full retard. But he
did. Yeah, he goes full retard and plays a Russian psycho, and it was nothing like the Rhino, but he's not really given a lot to work with. So I'm like, okay, whatever.
He doesn't have a whole lot of lines besides yelling and shooting and saying like nonsensical one-liners.
What a waste. That's a tremendous...
Paul Giamatti, everyone.
Exactly. Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, to me, they're one of the strong points. It's just a little bit too much with the romance. But I feel like they can act. Both of them can act. They can cry on command. I feel like they fit more than Tobey Maguire and what is the chick's name? I'm forgetting her name. She played Mary Jane Watson, but I'm forgetting her freaking name. Okay, apparently you're not fans. You're not really fans, so okay, we'll just move on.
That's how memorable her performance is.
Harry Osborn he did a decent job until he became the Green Goblin. And when he became the Green Goblin, he just appears out of nowhere. He appears out of thin air, and he is infected with Spider-Man 3 disease. He just he starts overplaying. Hey, Spidey. He starts playing the role. I guess it's just now for the first time I kind of understand why Sam Raimi didn't go with prosthetics.
Yeah.
Why he just went with the motorcycle mask, as people call it. Because, I don't know, it affects people's brains when they're in prosthetics. They just look at themselves in the mirror and they overplay everything.
Yes.
And I'm kind of like, okay, all right.
Goblins sound
So that's
like.
what you do, Spider-Man.
And just really quick, I just want to read something for you. Just really quick. Blackface is a form of theatrical makeup used by performers to represent a black person. It is often considered offensive because it can imply a stereotyped caricature of black people. Okay?
Yes.
I kind of screw that up a little bit, but you understand what I'm saying. You know what blackface is.
Of course.
Jamie Foxx played Nerdface.
Oh.
Okay? He was in full-on fucking Nerdface.
Yes.
That's what he was doing. He was doing full-on Nerdface. You
Yes, he
talked
was.
about...
Yes.
I'm sorry. You mentioned that, but I have to continue it.
Yes.
He has a comb over. He bucks out his teeth. He has glasses. He's flooding. He's literally
He's
flooding.
flooding. He's
Anyone
flooding
knows,
his pants.
who knows what that is, he's flooding his pants.
He's
And I
also
think-
lonely. He's like no friends.
No
Oh,
They
no,
really
he has,
go
no, he
full
has no
blown.
human contact because no nerds have human contact, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's Sheldon. He's playing the whole, like, I'm a nerd. I'm a stereotype of a nerd. I'm the stereotype of the stereotype. So it's truly fucking shameful what he does. I'm glad to see him die or become Dr. Manhattan Electro, whatever, because he's so much like Dr. Manhattan.
Electro.
I mean, come on, you
Yeah,
have
they
to
basically
notice that.
they copied Dr.
I mean,
Manhattan.
it's
Yeah,
pretty
they
much
really
Dr.
did.
Manhattan, and he kind of he disappears into that role in a bad way.
Yes.
He just absolutely disappears in the role, but not in a good way where it's like, oh man, he lost himself in the character. It's like, okay, yeah, you shoot electricity. I don't really care anymore. But yeah, man, it's
Jamie Foxx really played this one by the numbers. I would say and that's the thing to me is that even, all right, I hate to go back to Iron Man 3. What they did with the character was horrendous, but at least, what's his name who played I forget his Oscar Award winner played the Mandarin in
The
I say it with quote
Mandarin.
marks.
Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley. While Ben Kingsley, what they did with the character was fucking atrocious. At the same time, Ben Kingsley at least brought something to it that was specifically him. They actually brought something to it that was a little bit extra. With Jamie Foxx, it feels like he truly just played. Jamie Foxx, Oscar award-winning actor, doesn't bring anything special to this role at all. I don't know if they just directed it out of him, but it's like they could have put anybody at all in this part, had them do the exact same things, and you would have gotten the same performance.
And see, I would have even preferred it, like him becoming Electro, like him working on an experimental new form of energy that like it uses bio or something like that, and he's just been kind of maniacally kind of like ignoring everybody, and he's just this genius that's just ignoring everybody, and he's working on it, and then something goes horribly wrong. And yes, the company still tries to cover, rather than him falling into a pit of eels. Like, even though that has something to do with it with the comic
He
book.
really did fall into like
Just listen to what you just said. He fell into a pit
Of electric
eels after trying to connect some sort of
electrical wire. and he
Which
fell into a
this
pit of
guy's a
electric eel.
genius, but he couldn't get the guy to turn off the damn thing on the
Apparently-
sector. Which I would have went and turned it off my damn self.
He's a genius. Genius designer apparently doesn't know the number for fucking maintenance.
Well, no,
Apparently.
he called maintenance, and maintenance wouldn't do it.
Radio maintenance.
Yes, but
Oh, he radioed maintenance.
maintenance wouldn't do it because they didn't respect him. They were like, "Forget it, I'm going home." And I'm like,
no one respects a filthy nerd.
But you know what I would have did? I would have actually said, okay, well, the hell with it. I guess I'm walking to maintenance and shutting that off myself. and then, like, I'll go shut it off.
But of course, like every nerd out there, he has no backbone. He's completely, socially inept.
Exactly.
By the way, while we're getting to things that we didn't like about this movie, I want to go ahead and just hammer it in. The mountains and mountains of foreshadowing they did in this film. And I'm not just talking about some of the obvious stuff. I mean, if you look back and notice, maybe this is an Easter egg that folks didn't see, but on the birthday cake in the scene where you first see Jamie Foxx's character, when you first see him before he becomes Electro, on the birthday cake, there's lightning bolts. That's one thing. There's monster foreshadowing. But to get to the more obvious stuff, it seems like they spent a ginormous amount of time, like the last 45 minutes of this movie at least, completely pounding into your head, we're going to have the Insidious 6. They were pounding this into the audience's mind.
The Sinister Six.
The Sinister 6, sorry. I thought it was Insidious. Or was that from
Sinister.
Or Sinister. It is one or the other. It's something with
Insidious,
a...
and look, Insidious is a little too much for the comic book fans to get across like that. We already, the fact that we're calling each other sinister and evil. If we go into Insidious, now you're just being insulting.
Now you're just
I
being
am downright insidious.
Yeah.
But Sinister
This
Six
movie doesn't do so great with subtlety. It fails subtlety.
It doesn't
They
do so great
bang
with
you over
subtlety.
the head with everything.
You know what? You saw in the trailer, you saw Vulture's wings in the armory. You saw Dr. Octopus's arms. And to me, the trailer foreshadowed enough of what you need to do in the next movie. But you keep going back to that room. You keep going back to the foreshadowing. Even to the point where at the end of the film, spoiler alert, they're bringing files to Harry Osborn and saying, oh man, we need these 6 people here. So, they can work directly for me and crap like that. And they really try to hammer it home. And to me, they commit one of the cardinal sins of not focusing on the film that's right there in front of them. They didn't focus enough to me on this movie in front of them. They focused way too much on the romance between Gwen and Peter. And I get it. I get why they did it all together, because if anybody who's read Spider-Man comics at all, they already know the fate of Gwen Stacy. They know what happened. So I realize they're trying to hit
That
home.
was one of your major problems. You really knew, everyone knew what was going to happen. I mean, everyone knew that Gwen was supposed to die. Just on an off note here, couldn't he have kind of rushed her to the hospital instead of crying over her limp body like that? I mean, he doesn't know that she's dead. Yes, her skull hits concrete. She has a severe hematoma, but I mean, rush her to the hospital, man. Do what you can do. Like, he just
Pete's not a scientist. Pete's a scientist. He's not a doctor. So I would say, hey man,
He's a Spider-Man, not a Dr. Jim.
Nice. He's got spider powers. You can swing her to a hospital or something, but don't just sit there and cry. That was another aspect of it. And I just thought that was they kind of hammered that home a little too much for my taste.
And my problem with the whole idea that the Sinister Six is there, they're messing with unnecessarily messing with storyline. I would have preferred, like we said, that the award-winning actor that played the Rhino, I would have preferred him to be a serious arms dealer. They're trying to keep up with Iron Man's armor, or the armor in battle or something like that, and they end up creating armor, right?
How about this one? They could have had him play Doc Ock.
That too.
They could have had him do Doc Ock.
He fits much more as Doc Ock than he does the Rhino.
Yeah,
he's just nothing like the Rhino.
Well, see, I would have, as long as they didn't make him play like ditzy or dumb, I would have preferred him being like a battle-tested warrior, like not stupid, but just a hardened warrior. Like, and like I said, they're arms dealers. They make a suit or whatever like that, and then just to prove how great it is. I don't know. I don't think they can reference Iron Man. I don't think they can even say his name.
No.
Okay, well,
it's Marvel Studios, Sony Pictures.
That's the problem. I really wish Marvel had all their stuff together, because then we could fix a lot of this mess. Because then everybody could come out as they're supposed to be. And with the Green Goblin, like I said, I was really cheesed about that. The Goblin Force being one of the most powerful forces in the Marvel universe is noted. That with the insanity and stuff like that runs in the family, they just inject this guy with some blood that's not tested. He doesn't immediately die, doesn't go into a coma.
Once again, not a scientific way to go about. Another issue that I had, just real quick, on that whole blood issue was, okay, yeah, he goes through the trouble of trying to get Pete to say, all right, man, Spider-Man, you can get him to help me. He's my only shot, and this, that, and the other, and da-da-da-da. And he says, I can't do it, man. I don't know him. It's like, that could kill you, and this, that, and the other. So you go through this whole dramatic scene of him denying Harry, saying, I can't, bring Spider-Man to meet you. I mean, I'll see what I can do. And they could have left it at that. Why in the hell do you get dressed up in the costume? You show up at his doorstep. You come inside of his house just to tell him no.
Just to fuck with him.
Just to mess with him. That was it.
I would be kind of angry about that, too.
I would be. No wonder he went freaking insane.
Really quick, man. How long have I known you?
You've known me all my life, Fran.
All of your life. If you put on a mask, right? And you sit in my living room.
Yes.
And you talk to me. Do you think that I cannot recognize your voice?
Now, what's funny to me is, I'm sure at that point Brandon would call me and be like, "Hey, Fred, I think
I think Corey's lost it.
I think Corey's lost his mind. He just came over here with a suit on. You don't understand this. You don't understand this. What just happened?" I was like,
I mean, I know they had not seen each other since they were 8, But they had spent like quite some time.
Before that moment, they spent like the last couple days together.
Yes,
just
exactly.
being there again.
He recognizes the guy's voice, his physical build, and the fact that Peter knows him. That doesn't flash in his mind at all.
That's one of those fantastic situations we couldn't exactly accept.
And I'm like, you're a scientist, Peter. Why don't you say, hey, look, Harry, let me help you. Let me help you as best I can.
Or
let
how
me
about
test this thing.
He's a freaking scientist.
He's a scientist.
himself.
So I
They're
said,
both
let
me
me
take
help
some
you.
of your blood.
Yes,
and
let
I'll
me,
test it
yes,
and find
I
out what's
want to
going
help
on.
you. I want to help you. Let me make this my life work, helping you.
You know
what
I
mean?
Like, that whole scene
And-
to me was a giant waste.
Exactly, that was a waste. And like I said, a lot of stuff. And the last thing I'll say that bothered me about this movie, Spider-Man is supposed to have a snark to him. Just like Deadpool is a funny guy, Spider-Man is the original funny guy. The thing is, he has that teenage wise ass snark, which means that a situation has to happen to give said wise ass an opportunity to be a wise ass. They let Spider-Man take it over the top this time, almost like the cartoon that you see on XD, where like he's break the third wall and he talks to the camera.
Yeah.
This time, instead, it was stuff like, okay, when I hose Electro down, I've got a firefighter's hat on and I'm giving the firefighters high five. I'm jumping up on the car with the bullhorn. And doing, it's like, my thing is, I don't half mind that, but I'm like, be careful doing that. Like, he's supposed to be in situations where he's fighting these guys and something crazy happens and he makes a joke.
Remark,
He makes a smart ass remark and they're like, ugh. Like,
he aggravates his opponent.
Exactly.
That's what he's doing.
And that's what he's doing versus like, I do something silly like I put on a firefighter's hat and I'm just like the everyman type character, which I know he is, but it's kind of like one of those things.
It could be worse, man. He could be Emo Parker. It could be Spider-Man 3. So that
Nothing
film
could be
really
Spider-Man
didn't
3.
take itself seriously. But I agree with you. There's just a few tidbits, like a few like tiny things that I want to talk about. The creepy spirit Dennis Leary. That kind of appeared. That was kind of creepy. Like, do you think that when he was fucking Gwen Stacy, he kind of appeared there too, like just disapproving? I don't know about you. You made a promise, young man. Her mother likes it this way. You should try that. They're probably the same. Anyway,
business. She's getting
this is something that I rarely make a comment about. The score sucked. The score was, I don't like the music from
You
the
didn't
movie.
like it?
No, it was just really how they would play that. They would have the special effects or the sounds when Jamie Foxx's character would shoot an electric bolt and it would just say, down.
Oh, boy.
I hate this song.
Like, I didn't like that. I don't know. It kind of.
You and Jonathan had that same thing. I don't know if you listened to the lyrics of when he was like monologuing. It's like it was literally like, and Spider-Man hurt me and made me angry. It was like it was literally that. If you go back and listen, it was really bad. The soundtrack was really horrible on that.
Yeah, the opening song was kind of like a bad Superman movie song.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Yes. But did you have any other points on that one besides the bad soundtrack?
Spider-Man,
right?
Marvel Superman,
yeah.
Spider-Man was going to leave us all for pussy. So that really disappointed me. He was going to go to Oxford. He's going to go to Britain.
That was a bad one.
That was kind of surprising that he's going to leave NY. Mr. NY is going to leave for a chick. Hey, really?
We've all done some crazy things for pussy, Brian.
Well,
we all have.
We all have.
Hey, that makes him the everyman. I can't blame him on that one.
Like that's the part. That's the part I understand
look,
about.
Look, City got to save his damn self.
Okay,
but it would have been nice.
I'm like, but I will agree with a pimp man slip back. I'll do a lot of things, but I'll even do it for a ham sandwich with the,
Just want to do it.
Exactly. There you go.
That's horrible, man. But I would say on top of all of that, the movie itself, I mean. Honestly, man, I give it like a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
It was really average for all of the hype buildup that they had on this movie. There was so much potential and not enough special about it. When he was Spider-Man, when he was in the action scenes, the scenes were great. But it's like it got really bogged down when they try to show so much personality by characters that don't need that much of a showing for personality. To me, it's like they really could have gone through the whole, and to me it sucked especially because they spent so much time building up the whole Gwen Stacy death, And then when it happens, they run through his turmoil of being responsible for her death in a montage of him just visiting her grave, and then at the end he just comes back. To me, that was the part that should have been longer. That was the part that should have taken over half the movie. Hey, somebody I love just died because of what I did as Spider-Man.
I don't think they wanted to kill her halfway through the film. Maybe that's probably what they should have done instead of, having the Rhino part or pushing the Sinister Six
Heavily.
as much as they did.
Sinister. Led by Mr. Sinister.
I knew that it was coming. The way that it happened, it was understood. But I feel like the only reason why they just oh, by the way, just a slight thing. What did you think about Harry Osborn being the Green Goblin from the very beginning instead of Norman Osborn? Just really quick.
Personally, on that one, I was just seeing where the movie went with it. I don't think Norman's dead. I don't think Norman's dead. But as far as the ratings go, what would you put to it, man?
I'm gonna just follow yours, man, and give it a 6. That's what it deserves. It's just an okay movie. It's not the worst film I've seen of the year or anything like that, but it's just a 6.
I suppose we'll go with that. Fred?
I'll be generous and be with you guys with the 6. I've never been a big Spider-Man guy. You look at my comic book collection; it's not loaded with Spider-Man. So, and even when I
didn't like One More Day?
It's all right. It's all right. That's like they don't write Spider-Man. They just refuse. They're gonna get their money.
Infinite retcons. Yep. But with that, folks, that has been our reviews thus far. That's what we thought of the movies. Hey, look at us on Facebook and tell us what you might have thought of it. Check out our videos and leave us some comments, leave us some love. But this is another episode coming at you guys. This has been Corey, Avatar, Master of the Four Elements.
Let the fear wash over you. I am Jonathan Crane.
This is Fred Freeze, a.k.a. Doom.
And this has been another episode of Critical Comics. We will catch you guys next time.